want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash, and double honors to the apostles and the elders who taught me this truth. Salutations to the Akim out there pushing this word in all sincerity, in all truth, trying to be a better man, in Yahushai, to walk worthy of the vocation wherein we are called, peace and salutations also to the rest of the believers, the men, women, and children who, believe in this truth, who have been given the faith, who have received mercy through Yahushua's sacrifice, and are, trying to put off the old man, and be an Israelite, stop being a nigger, stop being a African American, stop being a West Indian, put off all the different labels and different lifestyles that we've taken on, over the years, over the centuries, and put on being an Israelite again. This lesson is gonna be, pretty much inspired by, something that I heard, watching a video this morning, by some brothers in the Dallas camp. They were doing a sit down thing about, 4 or 5 of them, brothers were really going into it in the spirit, pretty much going into, putting off the old man, renewing and being better, and, one of the brothers mentioned that being in this truth, you have to be coachable, and that's spot on, that's spot on, being a part of this truth, is about changing, who you are, because we come in with so many different fucked up mentalities, pardon my French, really nigger attitudes, a nigger mindset, we're selfish, we're defensive, we're proud, all these different things that we come in with, we have to shed, and in order to be better, we have to be reproved, we have to be corrected. There are men who are set over us, and even brothers who may be younger than us, that may see something that's, and will correct you. So a part of being in this truth, a part of being in this walk is being corrected, is being reproved, and is applying that reproof and that correction to your walk, to be better. So I wanted to go into that in this lesson, being coachable, taking reproof, and applying that reproof and being a better person, a better man, because that's what it's all about, putting off that old man and putting on that new man. Right, so we're going to read here the definition for coachable in the Britannica Dictionary. It says, coachable, it's an adjective capable of being easily taught and trained to do something better. And what are we doing better? Being a better man, being a better brother, being a better husband, a better father, a better son. Overall, being a better Israelite. Right? So that and the scriptures is what teaches us. The scriptures is what trains us. And there are men set up over us, through the Spirit, who have been walking this walk longer than we have, who have experienced more than we have in this truth, who may have more knowledge than we have in this truth, that will correct or reprove, the bad behaviors, the bad habits that we had, prior to coming into this truth, and we have to be willing, to take that reproof, and to apply it. So what I have here is an image that I found online, contrasting being coachable and uncoachable, and of course, as brothers in the truth, we want to be on the left, you want to be on the left, so for whosoever this applies to, to myself, to brothers, to sisters out there, apply this to your walk, really examine yourself, let me just get that precept as it comes to mind, really examine yourself, right, to see if these apply to you, and it will, it will, because we all have, messed up ways, and really and truly, examine your walk, examine yourself, being honest, with yourself and your weaknesses, This is 2 Corinthians 13 verse 5, examine yourselves whether ye be in faith, prove your own selves, know ye not your own selves, how that Yahushua HaMashiach is in you, except ye be reprobates, right? So you have to examine yourself, your pitfalls, your bad habits, you know how you get, when somebody reproves you, whether that response is good or not and what needs to change. Just be honest with yourself, right? So on the left hand side we have coachable, understands that criticism is not personal, right? And that's important, right? If you're uncoachable, then you're gonna take criticism personally, right? So one of the things one of the habits, the bad habits that we have before coming into this truth is that, you know, you're very quick to take things personally, right? So somebody tells you, you know, you need to do better at that, right? Hey, you're lazy. You need to, you know, get out of that lazy funk. You need to take care of your environment. You need to spread your bed, clean your house. You need to cook more, eat better, exercise, different things like that. This is not something that you should be taking personally, right? This is something to make you a better person, right? Responds positively to criticism and listening and applying feedback, right? And on the opposite side, we have becoming defensive when receiving feedback. And, you know, we know about brothers who are like that, you know, brothers who, the moment you try to reprove them, you know, we may have even fallen in this category every once in a while. You know, you're getting reproved, and the instinct of the flesh is to defend what you have done. That's the instinct. That's how we are. You know, we're in these messed up bodies. Your instinct, your first instinct, is to defend what you have done and to give an excuse. You know, that's why scripture say, you know, matter of fact, let me not quote it, let me just get it. You know, let me just get it. This is Ecclesiasticus, I believe it is. Ecclesiasticus 32. I believe it's at verse 7. Right? No, that's not it. No, I know it's sinful, man. Maybe it's spelled with a V. I know it's in the Apocrypha. I know it's in Ecclesiasticus 32. Maybe I was at the wrong verse. Pardon me a bit. 32. Here we go. 17, not 7. A sinful man, that's why I couldn't find it. It's sinful with 2 L's. Alright, so it says, a sinful man will not be reproved, but findeth an excuse according to his will. Right? So that's you becoming defensive. I know I'm wrong, but there's no but. Right? The moment you respond to reproof or to correction by saying, I know, but, once you say but, right, you're on the wrong course. You know, and then thirdly, applying what they've been taught, you know, to improve their game, right? And on the opposite side, we have fails to apply what they've been taught. So even if you say, okay, you don't take criticism personally, you don't become defensive, you respond positively to that criticism and to that feedback. Third and finally, and probably the most important step, is to apply what you've been taught, right? Whether you're doing lessons and applying the lesson that you yourself do, or brothers have corrected you and you have to apply that correction to your life. That's the most important step, being doers of the word and not hearers only. So let's get into the scriptures. You know, this is Proverbs chapter 1 and verse, let me start from verse 1. The Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, to receive the words of understanding, to receive instruction of wisdom, justice, judgment, and equity, to give subtlety to the simple, and to the young man knowledge and discretion. So that's what these scriptures are for, right? Because when we come into this truth, we're simple, we're babes, we're ignorant, you know? So this knowledge gives subtlety to us. As young men, it gives us knowledge and discretion. Reading on, it says, a wise man will hear and will increase learning, right? So if you're wise, you're gonna listen, right? And through listening and through applying what you have heard, you increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels. To understand a proverb and the interpretation, so you start going into prophecies, you know, different books, deeper understandings. That's by applying the fundamentals and growing in those fundamentals. The words of the wise and their dark sayings. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. Right? It says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Because if you fear the Lord, right, you're going to want to take his instructions. You're going to want to follow, you know, whatever steps are laid out before you. And you're going to want to follow and listen to the men that are set up over you. Right? But it says fools despise wisdom and instruction. Right? It says, my son, hear the instruction of thy father. And who are our fathers in this truth? The men, you know, who came before us. And forsake not the law of thy mother. That's our mothers as well, yo. Right? Yahushua said, who is my mother and my father and my brethren, but they that do the will of the Lord. So really and truly, our parents spiritually is what? The apostles and the elders and the men who are set up over us, who came before us. Right? We have to hear their instruction. Right? It says, for they shall be an ornament of grace about thy neck, and chains onto thy head, and chains about thy neck. Right? So let's jump over to the next precept. This is Proverbs chapter 9, I'll start from verse 6. It says, forsake the foolish and live, and go in the way of understanding. He that reproveth a scorner getteth to himself shame, and he that rebuketh a wicked man getteth to himself a blot. Why? Because if you reprove a scorner, it says, reprove not a scorner lest he hate thee. Reprove a wise man, and he will love thee. Right? You don't want to be a scorner in this case. You don't want to be somebody who, when you get reproved, you hate the person that reproves you, as if they're trying to do something bad to you. Right? Give instruction to a wise man, and he will yet be wiser. Right? Teach a just man, and he will increase in learning. Right? Moving on. This is Proverbs chapter 14 and verse 12. It says, there's a way that seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. So you may be in a particular mindset, you have particular habits that you're used to. Right? And your mind, they're good because you've been stuck in your ways for however long you've been on this earth. Right? And they seem right unto you. But 9 times out of 10, those ways are ways of death. And coming into this truth is all about putting off those ways and learning the new ways in a new man, which is renewed after the spirit and knowledge of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Right? So those ways might seem right to you, but the end thereof, ways of death, yo. Right? Ways of death. Right? This is Proverbs chapter 5. I'm going to read quite a bit from this, starting from verse 1. My son, attend unto my wisdom, bow thy ear to my understanding. Right? That thou mayest regard discretion, and that thy lips may keep knowledge. For the lips of a strange woman drop as an honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil. Now this goes twofold. This is talking about a literal woman, a literal whore, which will lead you out of this truth. And it's also, more importantly, speaking about other knowledges, apart from the truth. Right? Like Book of Enoch, Islam, Christianity, Hinduism, whatever other knowledge there is that's out there, that's aside from the truth, He says, but her end is wormwood, her end is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. So yeah, in the beginning, it's gonna appeal to your flesh. Deception does that. It's not deception if it doesn't appeal to your flesh. Right? So deception is gonna appeal to your flesh. It's gonna seem sweet. It's gonna seem smooth. But at the end of it, it says what? Her feet go down to death, and her steps take hold on hell. Right? Lest thou shouldest ponder the path of life, her ways are movable, that thou canst not know them. Hear me now, therefore, O children, and depart not from the words of my mouth. Remove thy way far from her, and come not nigh the door of her house. It says, lest thou give thine honor to others, and thy years unto the cruel. Lest strangers be filled with thy wealth, thy laborers be in the house of a stranger. And that's what's happened to us now as a people. Right? Strangers are now filled with our wealth. Right? And our labors are in the house of a stranger. We are in a stranger's land, laboring. Right? Our wealth doesn't belong to us. Even the money the so-called money that we earn is just, put into a bag with holes. Right? And we've reached this way because what? We've departed, from the instruction of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, and from the instruction of our forefathers, the righteous instruction of our forefathers. Right? It says, and thou mourn at the last when thy flesh and thy body are consumed. Right? And say, and here's the point, how have I hated instruction, and mine heart despised reproof, and have not obeyed the voice of my teachers, nor inclined mine ear to them that instructed me. I wasn't coachable. Right? I was almost in all evil in the midst of the congregation and assembly. Right? Now there are plenty of scriptures that speak about reproof. We're just going to hit a few of them. This is Proverbs 10 and 17. He is in the way of life that keepeth instruction, but he that refuseth reproof erreth. Right? Like for example, we constantly get on, these other camps and even on men in GMS, and it is always the most common thing, to see them make excuse and justify what they've done. Right? If you rebuke, you're erring, because a fundamental part of this walk is to receive correction, Right? Paul reproved Peter, and he received that, Right? And Peter was the head apostle. Right? Peter is the head apostle. Peter is King David. Right? If you have the spirit and faith to receive that. Proverbs 12:1, whoso loveth instruction loveth knowledge, but he that hateth reproof is brutish. Proverbs 13:18, poverty and shame shall be to him that reproveth instruction, but he that regardeth reproof shall be honored. 15:5, a fool despiseth his father's instruction, but he that regardeth reproof is prudent. Right? 15:10, correction is grievous unto him that forsaketh the way, and he that hateth reproof shall die. Verse 31 of same chapter. Right? The ear that heareth the reproof of life abideth among the wise. One verse down, he that refuseth instruction despiseth his own soul, but he that heareth reproof getteth understanding. 17:10, a reproof entereth more into a wise man than 100 stripes into a fool. Right? 29:15, the rod and reproof gives wisdom, but a child left to himself bringeth his mother to shame. Right? Second Timothy chapter 3 verse 16, all scripture is given by inspiration of Yahweh and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness. Now, let's look up one of those words for reproof. Right? Right? This is tawacha, yeah, I think. Right? It says rebuke, correction, reproof, punishment, chastisement. Right? And if you look up that word reproof in the dictionary, an expression of blame or disapproval. Right? Rebuke, reprimand, reproach, admonishment, admonition, reproval, remonstration, disapproval. Right? This is Ecclesiasticus 20 and verses 1 to 3. I'm going to read. It says, there is a reproof that is not comely against someone holdeth his tongue and his wife. Yes, so sometimes you get reproved. It's not going to be, comely. It's not going to be like soft. Some brothers are going to come off hard, because sometimes it's necessary to prove a nigga hard. Right? If you're being really niggardly, right, you're being really stubborn, sometimes it's necessary to come off hard. Right? But it's again, it's not to destroy you. It's not to attack you personally. It's not an ad hominem attack. Right? It is much better to reprove than to be angry secretly. And he that confesseth his fault shall be preserved from hurt. How good is it when thou art reproved to show repentance, for so shalt thou escape willful sin. So if you look at this chart again, this image again, right? The third one, the last point, applies what they've been taught to improve their game. Right? That's you repenting when you're reproved. Right? So you can escape, willful sin. That's you applying what you've learned. Right? James 1 verse 22, but ye be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. So once you get reproved, you get corrected, you apply that to yourself. Right? You be doers of the word. For if any be a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in a glass. For he beholdeth himself and goeth his way, and straightway forgetteth what manner of man he was. Right? So there's no point in you receiving all this instruction. You receive it positively. You say, man, you're right. I've been selfish. I've been lazy. I haven't been reading enough. I haven't been doing enough videos. I haven't been brotherly enough. Can't act. You're right. But then you say all that, but you don't apply it to yourself, right? You don't change your behaviors. You don't change the way you've been acting to our brothers. You don't try to do more videos. You don't try to read more. You don't try to pray more. Your agreement, your conduct, it just stops right there. Then you're not coachable, right? Because you even though you've accepted, the reproof positively, you've not applied it to yourself, so it didn't benefit you anyways, right? So you have to put it into motion, pretty much, So that's all I wanted to bring out. There are a bunch of other scriptures, that you can bring out, to further expound on this point. Brothers can put them, in the comment section. But hopefully this lesson was edifying, and also exhorting to brothers out there, and sisters as well. Shalom.